Good morning, everyone. And I'm so happy you're joining me with the technical difficulties or whatever we're having. But I hope you can hear the birds this morning in Costa Rica. That's where I am. There's some bright sun coming in, which feels really nice too. Today for yin, we're going to use a few props. I have two blankets here. I have my strap and I have a set of yoga blocks. So if the strap might be something you use, it just might be something you don't need. So if you have one, you can get your strap. And today's practice, really always in yin, we're going to take that dive inward as we take some nice long held stretches. This is, the nature, the quality of yin is taking that deep dive. So we're going to get right into it since we need time for these postures. So I'd like you to, and we'll drop in with our breath once we get into the shape. I'd like you to use your blankets, either both of them or just a single blanket for a lift to your seat. And you'll sit at the front edge of it. So we'll get right on that front edge of the blanket and extend the legs forward. Now, if you are immediately feeling sensation in the hamstrings, if you're feeling tight behind the legs this morning, then you can take your blocks and place them underneath the legs. And this will help, support you initially, and then maybe you want to remove the blocks. So later you can experiment with that and take them out. We're sitting at the front edge so that we forward the pelvis. So we're not sitting on the back edge of our blanket. And then you can decide whether you want the feet flexed or if you want just the legs to kind of flop and do their own thing. This will be through sensation that you start to feel. So you'll experiment with your sensation and your edge. Start to walk into this forward fold. And maybe for some of us this morning, the forward fold's about a couple inches. Maybe it's further. And this is where you'd like to use a strap. You can place the strap around the feet. What I encourage you to do in yin, which I'll be talking about, is to not be too muscular about this. If you're using the strap, just a gentle pull into the sensation. Continue to try to relax along the back of the body, relax the muscles. So soften where you can. Right? And then just close the eyes. And I'll keep cueing you, and you can hear me with the eyes closed into these suggestions that I'll be making for you. Go ahead and close the eyes as you come into this first shape, caterpillar. Maybe you decide that you're really needing some release in the back of the neck. You can drop your head down and turn even more inwardly with that. So as you drop your head's heavy, it's a weight. So you can work with that. If you need support, use your blocks. Sure, excuse me. And so you can rest your head right on your block if you need support, and you set up a little headrest with your blocks this way. So this is maybe where you go. Maybe, again, you decide you don't want to hold the strap, and it becomes more sensation for the release of the back body. I would say if you're using the strap and the feet are flexed, you're going to feel that sensation more toward the back of the legs, the release through the hamstrings and the calves. But this is urinary bladder meridian, the energy line of the urinary bladder of the back of the body. So we are servicing energetically the urinary bladder through opening these channels of energy just by staying in the stretch. So it's the same principle of acupuncture or acupressure. So just sitting, we're starting to tune in, we're starting to turn in now. And again, I'm using the first pose sort of as our dropping in today. Soften the face. Even with the constriction at the belly of your forward fold, you can take deeper breaths now and breathe into the back of the body. Breathe into the back of the heart, back of the ribs, the places we don't see at the back. And if you'd like to turn your head, I don't want you to feel stuck. Just rolling your head side to side might be really nice for the neck spine. And then as you tune into this deeper breath, tune into your own compassion, tune into your own courage for just tuning in this morning, dropping into the deeper layers within yourself, which is where yin really brings us into this territory of depth, of knowing oneself just below the surface. It gives us time to really explore the layers of self in this way and ultimately surrender to it. So we stay in these postures long enough to get to that place of surrender and ultimately release. We get in touch with a lot of tension. We get in touch with a lot that we've been storing emotionally, energetically. So just invite yourself into that compassion now, into the compassionate heart, which will cultivate your patience for this practice, the patience of, sometimes we have to stay and deal with it. What a great training. Again, this is all just training for our life of yoga off the mat. Yoga is connection. Yoga is yoking or making connections in our life. So we think of yoga a lot of times as just being, the pose that we're doing on a yoga mat. And it's our life choices. It's how we live our life, how we choose. And so this is just another aspect of connection, of balance to how we're choosing. Are we choosing to, deal with things a little bit more now that we've been in some reflective time with ourselves in the last couple of months? Has this been able to bring us into our inner confidence and courage toward our own compassion? Bring in any sankalpa that might serve you, that might really align you with your own heart's compassion and patience at this time. Something that will support the yin way, the bringing ourselves into the edginess maybe we don't like, but we'll try it. We'll stay and work with it and see what's there today. And we'll take a few more rounds of now the breath is naturally slowed down and we're in a much deeper cycle of our breath in, our breath out. Just a few more rounds of that cycle of breath circulating in our caterpillar. The way of yin is slow, and so our transitions will be slow as well. If you're, still forwarding, you come up now, use the heaviness, the weight that you've started to connect to the earth, to rise. So you feel very grounded still as you rise up. And there's sensation through our back, there's sensation through the back of our legs. Just maybe rocking the legs, giving them a little rock. And I'd like us to take our hands to the sides of our hips and just press into the earth, draw the heads of the arms back, sit up tall, and start to create a muscular sensation along the spine through the back body. So we do feel our muscles again. I like to give us a little bit of proprioception in the body between poses for the balance of how the connective tissues and the muscles interact and dance with each other as a whole. So pressing gently into the floor as you rise up through the spine. And then release. And then we'll take this now to our back. We'll take the next shape on our back. So I want you to come off your blanket. You can place that to the side. And come all the way down onto the back body. Take one of your blocks next to you. So have that near you. Bend your knees. Press down through your feet. And lift your pelvis up onto your block. Now the block is low setting, or the block is at medium setting. And you're placing the block in a place that's just simply, where does it need to be this morning? I'm not going to tell you exactly where to go because it's your body, your sensation. So really tuning into, again, your own intuitive exploration. Where does it feel a little edgy for you? Is it a little higher up into the lumbar curve of the spine? Is it a little bit lower, perhaps on a knot towards the sacral part of the spine, but yet there's this heaviness that we're willing to drop into, that grounded gravity that we're dropping into onto the block. So really trusting the bolster that you're setting up. Draw the knees up above the hips, and this is maybe enough of an inversion for you. You can continue with the legs extended. And we're getting ourselves upside down on purpose. This is so wonderful for flushing, stagnation, for flushing stress hormone. You know, we're always in that fight or flight sensation in the body due to how we think. The arms may come over your head and start to expand the heart wider open. And just close the eyes. Can we relax in a place that brings us edginess? Can we relax in a place that really brings up, stirs up our own pot? So this is the courage that we're mustering, that we're training in when we stay. And don't feel stuck. Again, the exploration is a slow-moving process. Maybe it feels more appropriate for some of you to bring the feet down instead of that full inversion. So again, in these yin practices, I'm just suggesting ideas, and it doesn't have to be where you stay or where you're working in. So just know again that we've left the right or wrong idea of practice. You know, the one way, the very specific yin allows for that exploration, that flexibility of exploration. Can you tune in to the subtle feelings here in the pelvis, in the belly? This is a great way to support your digestive system. If you use a wall at home with the legs up against a wall, it's just great to do every single day to inspire, again, the fluidity of the digestive system, but also the clearance of the hormonal system, to flush the toxins, to support the immune system, which is, again, in this time, so very important. And then just starting to lower the legs, you can start to bend the knees, lowering the feet down, and maybe just taking the foot down one at a time to the earth, nice and slow. Let there be fluid once again in the feet. We can check in with our bolster, our block, and decide if we want to move it a little higher. Maybe you want to move it to a different setting. So finding your way into a little bit more edginess, a little bit more sensation if that first sensation from the inversion started to fade. So go ahead and explore. Maybe you're moving it up a little higher into the lumbar curve, a little higher even above that. And you can choose now if you'd like to keep the knees bent or if you'd like to straighten the legs and just let the legs extend out in front of you. This might be a place you start to go into for that edginess, that exploration. And again, you can bring your arms over your head. This might be really great to open the heart and lung meridians a little bit more with. Today I'll be sharing with you from a chapter in the book called Drinking from the River of Light by Mark Nepo. And they're just meditations. Each kind of paragraph I share is a meditation in and of itself. And it's something soothing that we can listen to, or again, maybe the mind wants to go a little deeper into sensation, and the words that you're hearing can just be there, but maybe you're not attached so much. Just offering some of this insight. He starts with a quote that says, "There's a source deep in the core of human consciousness that's simply a given. It doesn't come from expectations or our beliefs. It's just there, waiting for us to discover or rediscover it. And that was by William Richards. And he says, it's humbling that the path of our expression in art, as in life, always reveals itself after we live it. In looking back, one book after another has led to the next. Exploring, awakening led me to the nature of risk, which led me quite naturally to the need to explore courage. And after that, there was only to listen. This led me to the endless practice of caring for the soul and for each other. And that led me to try to understand how effort leads to grace. I could have never foreseen such a harmonious unfolding. But this way of learning is not unique to me. This belongs to everyone. So we sit with our willingness and our courage and this sensation of experience of life itself in the body. Yin bringing us into fully feeling something that maybe we numb out or disconnect from as a way of protection or defense. And of course, we have practiced this before where we've had to deal with it, even if we haven't liked it so much. And we've already experienced, usually even after we haven't liked it but gone into it anyway, faced the fear that there have been invaluable lessons, or there have been ways that we couldn't have known without facing these places. We're facing this right now with each other, which again can force us more inward, force us to inward in a way that we protect or we close off. So just keep swimming in that space you're opening up to now, that spaciousness of courage and compassion with whatever is arising in this moment for you. Take a few more breaths in your bridge, and we are in a really tender place in general in the body, here in the low back, so there will be a lot of sensation when we come off of our bridge block. If your feet are forward and legs extended, walk them back, bend the knees. Place your feet down deep into the earth as you press into your feet into the earth and lift the hips up. Take the block out from underneath you. Come down without the block there. Cross your one leg over the other leg, and then lift your feet off the earth in this bind, and then drop the legs over. If your right leg is on top, drop to the left, or vice versa, and just take a twist here, a gentle twist. We're transitioning with this twist. We won't be here for 5 or 6 minutes on this. We'll just start to inspire this spiral through the spine. And then come on back to center slowly, uncross the leg. Take your second side. So we'll cross the other leg over. And again, we're lifting the feet up in the spine and then dropping over to the opposite side of the top leg. Maybe you're starting to feel the difference in the body from side to side. And then just let gravity, again, allow the surrender. Let go. And taking it back to center, we'll roll our way back and uncross the legs. Shift over to one side and press your way on up. And we'll take one of our blankets to the top of the mat. We're turning over now onto the belly. And then bring your body to the right side of your mat. So you're all the way on the right side of the mat, and you have your blanket as a pillow if you want to use it once we get into this shape. Extend your left arm straight out to the side, about 90 degrees from your armpit, just straight out, the left arm to the left. Take your right fingers and tent them, and then roll back onto your arm. It sounds funny, but we're going to come right back onto the arm. This is maybe where I take my blanket now underneath my head for support. While I'm here, I can get that set up. And you are on that back arm. You have compression in the shoulder joint. Take your top knee, my knee is my right knee here, and I'm going to step behind it, behind my left leg. And this starts to weight or turn the pelvis open toward the sky. It also starts to help you increase or decrease sensation in that shoulder that we're literally laying on. I know that it's awkward and we're not used to this feeling. This is like, you know, I always say this is the position you don't ever want to fall asleep in the middle of the night. But we do go to these awkward, edgy places, again, out of our own courage and willingness to release. So this is a big place in our shoulder that the connective tissue has become quite rigid. We're rehydrating this tissue. There's another way that we can practice with the other arm, lifting it up, reaching the right arm up, and then just dropping it back. And we may be interlacing the fingers, we may not be. I'm just dropping it back with gravity, and that starts to open the other shoulder up. This may be too much sensation, so you can just rest your arm right in front of your heart and just keep loving the earth that's supporting this practice, this beautiful earth. Close the eyes as you feel compression. I'll continue with our reading for today. I recently learned of a compelling teaching that comes from the intelligence of nature. After a silkworm encloses itself in a cocoon, it begins to transform, losing the mandibles by which it spun its silky growth chamber. So when the silkworm is ready to emerge as a moth, it has no way to break out of its cocoon. However, during its incandescent gestation, it is developed within its intestine the enzyme which is so strong that once regurgitated, it dissolves an opening in the cocoon through which the moth can emerge into the world. And this is a remarkable metaphor for the life of transformation. From our experience in the world, we build countless forms of cocoons, countless growth chambers in which we gestate until ready to emerge, transformed into another deeper form of self. But often, what we use to build one chamber of growth will not be able to free us from that chamber of growth. Often, things in which we grow are only opened by the life of expression. For expression is the powerful enzyme that we must bring up from within in order to dissolve our cocoon, so that we can emerge transformed in the same world. And this is why we listen and reflect. This is why we write. Not to be accomplished or excellent, but to free ourselves from the chambers of our growth in order to enter the same world transformed. And this holy process belongs to everyone. We're just going to Be slow about our return. Again, we're going to feel quite fragile in this bottom shoulder of ours. Just rolling to the belly. This is a pose called starfish, but the starfish that has been just washed up on shore. We're feeling that tenderness. And just making your way to your belly. I like to suggest that you bring your arms down alongside of you, turn your head to your other side. This shape we take today will have two sides. So just taking some neutral breaths into the shoulders and the arms, the heart that is opened. And we've had a really nice spiral through the spine, a twist here. Second side will be different. Let's just wiggle our way over to the left side of our mat. And again, the pillow can come with you. Extend your right arm out to the side, 90 degrees from the armpit. Take your left fingers and then just tent them so that you can help roll your way back a quarter turn onto that arm. And find the sensation you're working in. Top knee bend, steps behind, your footsteps behind the bottom leg. And that helps, again, with the sensation of how much or how little you want to work in. The left arm can lift up and just fall back. And if that feels like it's also too much, you can just rest it down. No need to clasp. So again, working in the amount of sensation for you on your second side in starfish. I'm going to re-emerge from that side so I can continue in the reading for you. Yearning to be, we enter a lifelong process. We follow a thread of connection that reveals itself as a necessity. And this is the art of being, the unexpected utterance that comes from honest living, and then helps us lift the veils that we encounter. And so the life of expression helps us keep the world together. This is the purpose of our will, to join the one conversation we are all born to. By seeing one thing in another, we release the divine nature in all things. In truth, we relate to things more than we author them. Though life marks us up, we survive by fitting things together until we inhabit the inner experience of truth. And in time, we learn to trust the chord in our heart. And then it becomes clear that the power of art rests in bearing witness to each other and weaving the threads of life together. Drifting in the immensity, we unravel the riddle of a self. And this lets us experience love at first true seeing. The inescapable truth is that the instrument is you. And keeping the harshness of the world at arm's length, we can dive down and come up, renewed and all a shimmer. Pulling threads from where we've been and where we feel. We are not led to what is great, but what is true. And by staying close to what is sacred, we rediscover the covenants of being that surface when we let our life speak. And this kind of speech educates the heart. And just a few more breaths on your second side of your starfish. So allow that heart to open. Stay in the underwaters here in the deep, the edgy places. This is where we learn this honesty of what we've been storing, what we've been avoiding, what we've been fearing. And we allow through the surrender, the staying, this great release, and ultimately this, what we're learning about in Mark's passage today, this life of expression and experience, ultimately coming back with each other. We're connecting right here, right now, even through the internet, which is pretty incredible. Roll back slowly, allowing the neutral, come back onto your belly, and slide the arms down to your sides. Turn your head to the other side and just breathe. Just breathe. We started really moving into heart and lung meridians with starfish in these last minutes on each side. So we're really opening up the energetic channels to those places, our heart and lungs here. We're going to continue in the heart and lung meridians in our next shape, which is our double V. And so, again, you may want to keep your blanket where it is for a pillow, and you may also want to take your other blanket or towel and use it for some padding, or just taking that first blanket for your padding here and unfold it so that you can lay on top of it with the belly and your pelvis on top of your blanket. There's an edge that you'll be placing the chest just above. So in that case, if you have one blanket, your block might be a resting place for your head. I'll show that. Right, so you have a block there. Come onto your belly, again, with your chest above your blanket's fold. So you have a nice padding under the belly and the pelvis. Let's start together with your left arm coming across to the right. Right, just across the chest or above your chest to the right, like somebody has your hand, and just pulling your left fingers across to the right side of the room. And then we're doing the same with the other arm, crossing the right arm on top of your left. So our arms now are in an opposite shape, in a V position in the upper arms. They're crossed. Curl the toes under. Shift your weight onto this bind, this compression. And again, maybe you're taking that block a little closer to rest your head on your block. Again, a very awkward place to be in, to settle into. We'll do the best we can. That's what we do, right? We surrender in the uncomfortable and breathe. This is an excellent place for stretching the stress points along the spine of the back body, right along the spine, in between the scapula, in between the shoulder blades. There's a lot of tension we might be holding here. So we feel that pull, that sensation from the upper back. It even feels nice if your head is on a block to just rock your head side to side and start to soothe the brow line. Start to find a little compression through the face that you can work in for release. The furrowed brow line from our worrying. Let the fingers get tingly here. We are laying on our arms, so the fingers will feel sensational in that we're kind of cutting off our own circulation. So if you're wondering, is that what's supposed to be happening? Yeah, that is true. And just surrender as much as you can, the bones with gravity into the earth. Let the shape do the work itself as we dive deep. There's so much spaciousness that we are able to encounter in the end because we give ourselves enough time in yin to be in these shapes. Nothing wrong with our movement practices. We need those too. But we just don't spend the time into the deeper layers that we experience in yin, into the more connective tissue and fascial layers of the body. Again, it can stay quite superficial in the muscular aspect in any stretch that we take for too short of time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, if you're a runner and you need to stretch, you may just need to simply stretch the muscles. But there is such value in the depth to the whole. And so this is the reason we practice with the length of time we do. We need to reach the more rigid places that truly hold us together. The communication system in the body that truly sends messages to all parts of ourselves. And when those tissues are too dry, dehydrated, they're not communicating properly. We're not functioning fully or wholly in this way. Our yang sense of movement cannot, again, express itself fully or more functionally when the yin part of ourself is not fully functioning properly. So in order to feel truly vital and joyous in our own body, we need to address our body as a whole. We need to address our emotions. We need to address our energy. And of course, we're diving into the realm of spirit, of soul, when we reflect. And we touched on that in the last part of the passage, that when we truly listen and then start to reflect, the reflection is actually the part of listening that we can learn from, that we can start to understand. Otherwise, listening can just be background noise that we hear. Take a few more rounds of breath. So these ruminations are also an essential part of the whole of our growth, of our being, of our experience as we relate to this world, an ever-changing world. Start to shift the weight back off the arms. I don't know if it's good or bad news for you, but we have a second side. So let's go to our neutral in between the first and second side. So just, again, bring the arms down alongside of you as you come out from that first side. And you can turn your head to face the other way. And just breathe. And we learned in our starfish that the second sides of things are different. So we're never looking to match it to the first side. Take your right arm this time above your chest and bring it across to the left, and then your left arm on top of your right. Or if you did the other way, just switch, that's all. And again, you can move your block in place or your blanket in place to rest your head, and allow for the difference, adjust for the difference into your sensation in the bind. Curl the toes under, and then go ahead and shift the weight forward onto the bind, onto the double V. And start to surrender and breathe. By giving attention Instead of getting attention, we break surface with our soul and find that we are stronger than we thought. And no matter where we find ourselves, effort is never wasted. For this opening of soul that leads to an opening of heart, that leads to an opening of voice, all of it in its endless search. And though there is no end to this mystery of being alive, we can find everything we need when going with the stream. All the while there is a table between presence and meaning from which we can peer from the edge of all we've lived into what is yet to come. And there we rediscover what matters comes slowly. In time, we are brought back to our original sense of wonder, from which we set out again to love the world. And now we are sitting by the timeless river as those who have come before us. It is from here that we will know our voice, find our home, and keep going. And what a cocoon we are in right now. And by moving into this dive within yourself, this is where we find that enzyme. This is where we find that special courage, that special strength, that special willingness to reemerge. To reemerge without the contractions of our worry and our fear and our doubt. To reemerge into, with each other, into a life of love, into a life of hope, into a life of our own creativity once again. I know that I have been tested. I know that you have. This is an essential time in history for this process, this inner process within ourselves. This is why people for centuries have been meditating, to be able to learn how to sit and stay with the chaos, with the monkey mind, with the uncomfortable. And here we dive into the places in the body just as deeply as the mind. Start to emerge from your double V, bring the arms down alongside of you, come into what feels very tender but very neutral. It feels like a relief, I hope, to that shape. So just maybe turning your head to the other side. And then gradually, eventually, you'll rise. Make your way up to find your 2 blocks. We are going to combine where we've kind of been in the body with our heart bench next. And so we'll keep moving into the heart and lungs, but also through the urinary bladder meridian before we get into some hips. Oops, a little wind came through. Set up your blocks for heart bench in your, I gotta get this tripod from all that fumbling earlier. Getting it set up, I hope you can see it. And your 2 blocks, one is vertical, and it can be for the upper back in a way that supports the mid thoracic spine or the upper back. And then the other one is for your head. The first block can be horizontal, so it doesn't have to be vertical. You might choose to change it, and you can come up and change it within the shape. And your other block for your head might be lower. So you choose. And then sitting in front of the first block with the hips really grounded and rooted, roll back into the compression of that first block along the spine. Your head rests again on that second block, but maybe you decide again here you want to change its location, change its setting. The shoulders will just be dropping off the sides. Maybe some of you at home are taking your feet together, soles of the feet together, and letting the knees drop wide. This starts to move into the hips where we will be going gradually next. And that might feel great for hip opening, inner thigh stretch through the liver meridian. You can also walk your feet wide and drop your knees together, knock the knees together in. And this might be really nice for the release of your outer hips this morning. You may, again, also bring your arms over your head, and this starts to open up further in the chest and the shoulders, or just dropping the arms down to the side. But don't feel stuck. Again, it's your exploration. Close the eyes and just allow the surrender. Allow the shape to do the work. Wherever I go, I'm blessed to climb with others into the interior we all share. And after a weekend with kind souls, after we've journeyed together honestly, working to listen to each other without judgment but with care, we're closer than when we came together. And that closeness that opens us is palpable. And often at the end of our time of sharing, I'll read a last poem. And there's a silence that holds us, which is quieter and softer than when we first met. And feeling this, I lean into the room and I say, notice how the silence between us is different now, though we've only been together a short time. Everyone feels it, and no one wants to leave. That's when I lean in further to invite everyone to taste the sweetness in the air. I lean in and I say, can you feel it? This is what we came for. This is the real poem. And this belongs to everyone. Take another final minute in your heart bench. So any adjustments, any variations to the blocks that you'd like to work with, you can take your time and exploring. Beautiful mantra. Can you feel it? The mantra, I would say, is yin. So many times people ask me, experiencing yin for the first time as a practice, is this right? Am I supposed to be doing it like this? And I really always respond with that. Well, can you feel something? And what a blessing to put us in touch with that we can feel. As vulnerable and as we know, as fragile as we may feel when we do emerge from these cocoons, and each one of these shapes can be thought of in that way, emerging from our cocoon transformed. You are truly different than when you first came to your mat this morning. A few more rounds of your heart bench breath here. Maybe the easiest way is to roll off to the side, off your blocks. Maybe it is emerging upright, whichever you prefer. We are moving toward moving the blocks away. So just gradually rising up and moving the blocks. Slowly moving toward our next cocoon. We're moving toward frog. And, whoa, this has been a very challenging practice today, I just realized. When I wrote the sequence out, I thought, frog. So have fun. Have fun in the deep dive here. We will use our blanket across the mat. I kind of unfold it to a rectangle, a longer shape for my knees. So I have some padding, a really broad padding for the knees. And you may take your block with you, your blocks with you as well. And I'll back up. Hopefully you can see me with that vertical placement of the camera. The way we start here is just on the feet. You can just come to kneel on your feet and then open the knees wide away from each other. So the knees move away from each other, and you're really feeling already the sensation through the inseam of the legs. You're feeling compression in the hips. We move down toward the earth here, and we're really on the inside of the kneecap. We're not really on the kneecap here. Think of more of the fiber and the flesh of the inner thigh, the inner leg. And this adds gravity when we come down to the earth. It adds compression in the hips. So you can decide. Maybe some friends are lifted a little bit higher and you stay and you work with the edginess here for you. And again, some friends might come down into their edginess a little further, and you can rest your head on your block. And this, in this way, like we have been working with blocks, you can build the height you need in your sensation. Breathe into your back. And some friends at home go further, moving the feet away from each other. And if you do that, we do want to keep the knee and the ankle aligned. If you open your feet away from each other, flex your feet, protect your knees, flex your feet, and the knee and the ankle are in alignment. So we're not overdoing it with our knees. Anything past that is not helpful or beneficial or therapeutic. So we don't need to go there. And so finding our way in to our frog. If this feels completely inaccessible, I'm going to be slow about this. You reemerge, you can draw the knees together, and you can take a supine version. So those friends in frog, keep going. Or you turn over into the wide knee, moving the feet, the wide leg, the straddle again, away from each other, and taking more of that kind of happy baby approach from the back. And I'm holding on to my feet here, or you could hold on to your legs in a way that gives this shape grounding And again, I'm feeling the compression in my hips that I was feeling in frog. So there is that pinchiness we start to deal with in the hip joint here, which ultimately will create space in your back. So anytime we come into the connection, the reconnection of our head of our femur, our thigh bone into the hip socket, we actually can create a lot of space for the back body. And just drop in, whichever version is working for you. It may work for you in one way on, one day, and then the next time you come to this practice, it might be the other way. So again, experiment, really encouraging exploration with the present time, the present moment. I'm also just letting you know that this is being taped on a different device. I will have this whole practice available for you on our new virtual site that we're setting up for an on-demand class. And the camera, I promise, did not fall. So if at a later time you're practicing this entire sequence in the body will be completely different, right? This entire experience will be completely different. And again, that brings us into true life experience, that we're not feeling this river of depth any time the same way twice. And that we shouldn't use the restrictions of the mind, the patterning ways of the mind to experience this practice the same way twice. We do that a lot in our practices. We set our goals, even physically, in what we practice, and we get upset when we're a little less flexible on one day than another day, and so forth. So really, this is inviting the healing of that part of ourselves, that it's bringing us back into so much the present moment with ourselves, that doesn't matter anymore. We don't have to hit a goal. That's a very young part of our personality. This is a much more fluid, watery, mysterious practice, right, that brings us to places, again, in the unknown. So that's why if you go back later at another time that you want to practice this, keep that in mind, that we're truly entering into a new experience altogether. A few more breaths. We're going to be really compassionate about our hips. I know how you feel in those hips. I feel it too. We're together. Bringing the knees toward each other, you start to neutralize. If you're in your frog, you slide the knees toward each other to a more neutral place in the hips. For those of you coming out of frog, maybe you move back into a child's pose. If you're coming from your wide-kneed happy baby, just lowering the feet. So wherever you are, just breathe in your neutral place in the hips. Okay. Take your time. Woo. We will move now, once again, slowly. I know I'm feeling it. And this, again, I always mention that yin will continue, the sensations of yin will continue throughout the day today. It won't just, end at the end of practice. So you'll allow for the fragility and the release all day long. It'll feel tender. It'll feel like that deep tissue massage that you haven't gotten in a year. Come to sit up. Find your 2 blocks. And again, where we began in caterpillar, you may want to use your blanket to sit on the edge of. So you might want to give your pelvis a little lift here. And find your 2 blocks. We'll meet up here. And we'll take our I'm going to take my left knee and just bend my left knee and bring my foot in toward my hip and press down through the top of the foot, but, not so aggressively. It's just that we want to keep the knee very safe. It bends its one way. And I have knee issues, so I do practice saddle with great compassion. So I'm going to allow this leg, the knee that's bending, to lift as I move back into sensation. Now I'm on the blocks kind of at the medium setting here. Just make sure they don't tip over. Press evenly down into the blocks. And some of you are fine with this sensation we're feeling this in the front of the leg and superficially in those big quad tissues and hip flexor tissues that we can probably feel already. Some of you might come down further. I have just changed my blocks to the low setting. And some of you are all the way down. I don't know if I can demo this yet. Let's see. Oh yeah, this side feels okay. So I'm lifting my knee as I come back, right? And then you can gradually work with the sensation of the knee toward the earth. And this is giving, again, the front of the leg sensation in this shape. This is working in the stomach and the spleen meridians. The stomach and the spleen meridians. Maybe some friends are just reaching their arms over the head. And just breathe into the back. We've done so much work in opening our heart earlier in this practice. Just, again, that willingness, that compassion is flowing. So really, truly use those soul tools as you stay into this, for some of us, a quite challenging position, a quite challenging shape physically. Relax and breathe. As we lean into the silence of ourselves, as we lean into the listening, as we lean into the reflecting, there is this peace, there is this hope, there is this joy, we could even dare say, in these uncomfortable sensations. Take several more rounds of your breath here. That beautiful, beautiful cycle of life itself, the inhale and the exhale. Feeling the ease of breath, the way we can breathe easier now that we've courageously stayed with the breath, stayed with ourselves. To rise. Again, I'm holding on to my own hips to help me lift up. Come on to the elbows, gradually your hands, and rise. A great way to take good care of the knee in coming out of this. And this is two-sided. We'll be taking a second side. Just keep the knee folded and walk the foot in. Pick up the leg, bring the foot around, and then extend the leg. Shake that out. Readjust maybe evenly through the pelvis on our blanket. Finding those sitting bones. Bending your other knee. And again, keep it folded, the knee bending its one way, it likes. And then coming into your second side saddle stretch with the foot alongside the outer edge of our hip. And then again, this side, very different. You may notice that when you come back into your sensation, maybe it's much higher than the first side, right? So maybe it's about here. Remember, you can lift your knee up as you go back. This shape can be taken with both knees bent at the same time, but for today, we're taking it one knee at a time, one side at a time. And again, for a lot of us, these hip flexors need our attention, these big tissues of the front of the leg. If you do a lot of repetition in the hips, it's one way, even just from walking a lot, this area becomes really constricted. If you bike a lot, this is an area that becomes really shortened with that repetitive motion. Coming down maybe further into the back body. I'm about here today, so this is where a lot of my edginess is to work in. Feel free to explore moving all the way down onto the back. I really am hopeful for all of us in this training, in this courage, in this diving in that we do each week, each time, each practice together, that we do emerge from this cocoon in a transformed way that truly feels like joy, that truly feels like our own embodiment of our life in a way that supports us, that inspires us. We have this guilt around being joyous or in a space of creativity or expression or art when times are tough. We tend to carry this like, oh, well, the world is falling apart. I'm not allowed to feel joy right now because there's so many people, obviously, that have it much worse than us. And there's always going to be the degrees of that. We lose access to peace. We lose access to the available joy that's already within us. This is something that has never left us. We've just disconnected from it. So here in this practice, we learn about reconnecting to this basic birthright state of peace and joy. There's no one that doesn't have the access to it from within, but how willing are we to listen? How willing are we to still ourselves in this quietude, in this practice of moving inside? Are we always caught by the externals and the chaos and the bad news on the TV? How much of that are we consuming? All really just reflective questions for ourselves as we bring them to our awareness. Can we remain vulnerable yet open today after you've been experiencing this yin magic? A few more rounds of breath on this side. Again, the re-emergence upward. Keep the knee bent, keep the knee folded as you then pick it up and bring it all the way, bring the foot all the way around, so that way the knee is happy in the transition, and extend the leg. And we come back now to lie back into Shavasana. So no particular shape in the body except your shape of freedom. Setting that up in any way that feels supportive, maybe the roll of the blanket under your knees or the roll of a vertical roll of the blanket under the spine that you lay back on. This is similar to the feeling of heart bench. I'm going to go with the blanket under the knees, maybe the blanket resting on the belly. We just finally, fully in this practice, surrender everything. With all the sensations of all the places we've been in the body today together, let it all go. Just be. Rest into the breath for your day, the depth of the inhale and the exhale. Stay here in Shavasana as long as you'd like to experience it. Allow the quality and essence of Shavasana to come with you as you awaken. This state of freedom, of liberation, of peace. As you awaken, you emerge from your cocoon, a willingness to express yourself. Once again, you have now emerged from a very deep place within yourself, lengthening, stretching awake, and turning to your side. Thank the earth. We rise gradually with that groundedness, that connection to the earth, and that connection to each other. We are absolutely connected. And bow your head, take your hands to prayer position in front of the heart, bow in. We'll finish this chapter with you. I say this to you now, after our long walk into the river of light. Lean in a bit further and taste the sweetness we have earned. Can you feel it? This is what we came for. What lives between us is the real poem that enlivens us each day. This drink of luminosity is always within reach. This belongs to everyone. I thank you, friends, so much for joining, and I thank you for practicing for your own self, may this practice encourage the balance, encourage the whole through these mysterious places within, through the access we have to this peace, this love, this connection, this compassion. Sending you all so much love. Namaste.